Mais comment ça va, chef? I'm Chef Derrick Fontenot.
Man, that's my thing to do, bro. But that's my brother right there, Derrick, and I'm Chef Harley Fontenot, better known as the Parrain, and we're making some king cake beignets, chef. Tell us what we need for them beignets, T.
All right, well, so what we need for the beignets, we got flour, eggs, butter, a little bit of sugar, some milk, if I didn't say that, and the other thing, a little secret ingredient is some active yeast.
Where that yeast come from, though?
Well, you don't want to know.
And for your filling, you're gonna need some cream cheese, and you make sure you keep that in your pocket so it gets hot and soft. Then you got your powdered sugar, your cinnamon, your canned strawberry pie filling, a limon. And everybody knows a king cake ain't a king cake unless you got that colored sugar ball. So Derrick, let's get to cracking on these beignets.
So to start with, we gotta wake up this yeast. And how we do that is, gotta get some water, about 100 degrees, like a nice hot bath, but not too hot, because if you do that, it'll kill your yeast. Got them little tatais with the hot water. We got a nice bath in there, and then we're gonna add sugar, about a teaspoon, and that's what they eat. And so this is how it creates the air pockets that we desire. All them little tatais, and they got hundreds of billions of them. They all eat the sugar, and then they burp up carbon dioxide, and that's what creates a little air. So you let that get nice and bloomed up, we'll set it aside. All right, now we start with the dry mix. We need 3 cups of flour, all-purpose flour. 1, 2. Make it nice and level. It's good to pour it into the measuring cup instead of scooping it. Get a little more accurate. That's 3. And then we have a 1/4 cup of sugar, just white sugar. And then just a little bit of salt, about a teaspoon. I'm gonna measure that like Justin Wilson. That's really just to accent the flavor, just bring everything out. Get all your dry mix mixed up together real good. That's why they call it dry mix. Mix it up. Now we're gonna work on the wet part of it. 3 eggs. And for the milk, we put 1 cup and 1/4 cup. So 1 1/4 cup of milk. Butter time. My pockets are hot too. It runs in the family. So we only need a 1/2 stick. I just like to keep a little bit of extra. You never know, you might want some more. So I'm gonna cut it in half with, I got a little bench scraper saws right here. Cut that thing. And really you just pop it in the microwave about 15-20 seconds. All right, now we take this hot melted butter, mix it in with your eggs and milk. And if your milk's a little cold, that hot butter is gonna warm everything up. And you want this mixture to be room temperature. All right, now the last step for our wet part is to add the yeast back in. You add the yeast in to the mix. Now check that out. All them little yeast, they started eating up all them sugars and stuff. They woke up now, look, it's foamy. Yeah, Parrain, come over here, I want you to smell that. You smell that? It smells like you're sitting on a bar stool at Bada's and you got a swamp donkey sitting next to you, huh?
That's what I was about to say, it smells like some beer.
Smell like a little beer, a little bit of yeast, and so we're gonna mix that right in. All right, now we combine our wet with our dry. That's gonna give us our nice dough. And the thing about this dough, it's gonna be wet. It's not gonna be a regular kind of dry bread dough that you can turn out on a work surface and start to knead right away. So once this is all mixed and incorporated really well, you wanna chill it for at least 3 hours. So if you wanna have this for breakfast, it's good to do it overnight. Let it sit in the refrigerator. You wanna cover it with some plastic or maybe parchment paper right on the, touching the surface, and then wrap the whole thing up. And in the morning, it's gonna be doubled in size. All right, I'm gonna take this to the fridge, and I got one in there that I made earlier just so we can get started on cooking it up. All right, now this is about the same size bowl as we mixed in, so you can see how much it grows. It's this thing puffed up. You can scrape that off. So we need a little spatula. I like to use this. One of these is a good little sauce to get because you can get everything, get all up in there. If you're like me, you want it all. You want brand new socks and drawers.
You gotta make sure you draw a smiley face in that. Make sure that beignets are happy.
Happy food, happy people. Right in the middle. You can see all the little air pockets in there. It's gonna puff up. It's already doing its magic, and so when you throw it in the fryer, it's gonna triple in size. It looks like a little bit of dough, but we're gonna make a lot. Still really soft, that's why we want to cool it off so it's easier to work with. And we don't have to add too much flour because that'll make it a little more tough. And this way we're gonna end up with a nice, soft, fluffy beignet, and that's what you want. So once you got it rolled out to about a 1/4 inch thick, go ahead and cut it with whatever you got. I like to use a pizza cutter and make some rectangular shaped cuts. When you make a cut, just kind of gonna transfer these over to a little pan. They're really, really soft, but that's good. They're gonna come out just right. It's a very forgiving dough too, so don't worry about messing it up. All right, so while I was doing that, Parrain got some hot oil going on the stove. And before we drop them in, you wanna let them sit for about 15 minutes and puff up a little bit. That's proofing, that's what that's called in baking. And that's gonna give it even some more air pockets and make it lighter and fluffier. All right, so now we're over here. These puffed up a little bit and the oil's nice and hot. And we got a trick to test and make sure that it's hot enough and not too hot. So you sprinkle a little bit of flour. You see how it sizzles up? You get some bubbles. You kind of hear it hiss a little bit. That's what you're looking for. If it just sits on top and doesn't go anywhere and just you get no action, it's not hot enough. And if it turns brown right before your eyes, that's way too hot. You see a little smoke? Turn it off, don't throw anything in there yet, let it cool down. All right, now we're ready to start dropping them in. So I'm gonna pick one up and try to keep it shaped as best as you can. Make sure your hands are nice and floured. You gotta have flour on your hands so it doesn't stick too much. And when you drop it in the oil, be careful. You wanna touch the top with it and let it fall away from yourself, that way. Because if you let it fall straight in or to yourself, it could splash on you, and we don't wanna burn our little nips. So be careful. And now while it's in there, you want to bathe it with that hot oil. Pour it right over the top. You see it's expanding. Give it a little bath. And do this for a while. It's going to cook it evenly on both sides. And then it's puffed up pretty good. And you flip it. Keep doing that. Do that to the other side too. Until it's nice and golden brown. Probably take about 45 seconds to a minute. What you want to do is test your first one, and when it comes out of the oil, you want to cut it in half and make sure it's done all the way in the middle. And then you'll know if you can trust your temperature of your oil and the time that you had it in there for and the color. You know, the relationship between those will let you know exactly when they're done. And now I'm going to go ahead and just drop all of these. You don't want to crowd it too much here, but since we got a big pan with a lot of oil, we can drop a lot at once. I got about that many, and you want to start basting them as soon as you can. So that first one's getting brown on the bottom. You don't want to make any of them jealous. Looking a little hot. And here we have the finished product. These are all fried up nice and crispy. And we want to let them cool off before we do anything with them, so we're going to hand it over to Parrain. He's going to make the filling and the icing.
So now the first thing we're going to do is do our filling, and it's going to be a strawberry, lemon, cream cheese filling. Let me tell you something, partner. I got that cream cheese in my pocket, and that's soft. So what we're going to do is put that in there. You just put that in there.
That's soft with 2 Fs.
Don't worry, it don't want to go in, but I got something for him being canard like that. Push that. Now we're gonna add that canned strawberry pie filling, yeah. And be careful with that lid, because that's sharp, just like Papa's knife. And look how good that is. I could just eat a bowl of this. All right, so we're gonna add a little touch of sugar. It's about a tablespoon and a half. We're gonna slice that lemon. Squirt a little bit of that. Give it a little zest. So now you get your little shaws on there and you smack that and blitz it up. So now that we got that filling done, we're gonna get my brother right here to heat up some milk for me, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Because we're about to make the icing shot. So what you're gonna always do for the icing is start with your powdered sugar first. Never add the powdered sugar to the milk. Because if you add the powdered sugar to the milk, you're gonna end up with a running ass icing. So you're gonna start out with a bowl of powdered sugar, and you got your heated milk, and you're gonna sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on that. Because a king cake is usually almost like a cinnamon roll flavor it has to it. It's like a big ass cinnamon roll. And the reason we're gonna heat up the milk is so it melts this powdered sugar real easy like. And what you're gonna do is put a little tiny bit at a time and mix that. You see how it's doing right here? Let's turn it into a ball. We got a little bit more.
Ain't no use crying over that.
Yeah, no use crying over that spilled milk tea. All right, and you got your cinnamon, your powdered sugar, your milk. And we're gonna put a little splash of vanilla in there just to set it all off. And mix that again. So the reason that you want that to be cooled off by the time you dip it in here is so that it doesn't just melt off, you know. So while my brother's hooking up that homemade piping bag that we got going on right there, and that's soft, what we're gonna do here is tell y'all a little joke. So, they had a bunch of Cajuns getting drunk sitting around a campfire one night, and Boudreaux was with them, of course. And they was arguing over what's the fastest thing in the universe. So the first guy said, I know what it is. It's a thought, because by the time you think it, you done thunk it already. Another dude's like, no man, it's a blink, because by the time you blink, you done blunk. And the third one was like, man, that's not what it is. It's the light switch, because you flip that on and it comes on, vite vite, comme ça. And he's like, no man. Boudreaux told him, he said, that's not the fastest thing. I'm gonna tell y'all right now what's the fastest thing is diarrhea. And they're all like, oh man, you drunk. There ain't no way diarrhea is the fastest thing. He said, yeah, and let me tell you why. By the time I could think, blink, or turn the light on the other day, I done crapped my pants.
All right, now you want to get you a little knife, a little steak knife will do. Something that's kind of thin like that. And make a little hole here. Try to get it all the way through into the middle and open that up a little bit inside.
That's like warm apple pie.
So you'll have some room for the filling. Do 3 like that. 2. I like this one. Oh yeah. Try to get it right in the middle. All right, now got your little piping bag full. That's just a plastic sealed bag. You cut the tip off. Not too big.
And not too small, that's like Goldilocks.
And gather it up and have that point sticking out. You want to stuff it in there. Go ahead, open that up and then squeeze it on in. That should be all the way through into there. Like that. All right, now they're full. You want to dip them, just dip the top. Dip them, let them drip a little bit. Make sure you cover the top. Like that. Last one.
So now we're gonna dust that with that colored sugar.
That's gold. And don't forget your purple. And this is just as much as for flavor as it is for garnish. So I add some sweetness because that filling is a little tart.
And of course, you gotta top that off with your little baby.
Oh, shit.
And you know what that means. Allons manger, chat.
Ça dit, ça comprend pas les mots à nos chansons, mais souhaite ça peut comprendre la nécessaire pour préserver nos jolis